Now available in paperback and e-readers, Spellbound, A Darker Shade of Black. Get your copy today at your favorite online bookseller. Two people were killed and 14 others were injured in a shooting that took place at a Juneteenth celebration in Round Rock, Texas.
The search is still on for those involved in a shooting that left 2 people dead and possibly a dozen injured, including children. And now the FBI is involved. Round Rock police say during the Juneteenth celebration last night, 2 groups got into a fight, which led to the shooting. Austin Travis County EMS confirms they transported 6 victims, all with possibly serious injuries. And Williamson County EMS confirmed they transported another 6 victims. We're told they were all innocent bystanders. It all happened at Old Settlers Park, and that's where we find KVU's Malia Masamoto. And Malia, you were able to speak with people who were there during this very scary situation.
Yeah, Darrenisha, it's been a very difficult day today. I've been trying to reach out to many witnesses who were here, and this morning I was able to speak to 2 women who were here when it happened and had to lie on the ground as soon as they heard gunshots. One of them is actually a trauma therapist and is reminding people that if they were here and witnessed what happened, it's okay to get help if they need it. Flashing lights and loud noises. But not for the reason these people wanting to celebrate Juneteenth expected.
I was kind of like in disbelief that this was actually happening.
What started off as a normal day of Juneteenth celebrations in Round Rock.
It was just a beautiful day. Like, you saw families there, you saw kids on like scooters, and you know, and it was beautiful.
Had a quick turnaround in the evening.
And all of a sudden, I just hit the ground immediately.
Paige Overland and Letitia Agent were just feet away from the shooting that left 2 dead and multiple others injured.
In the situation, you don't think it's going to happen to you.
Yeah.
In the hours after it happened, they've been processing what they went through.
It kind of changed me wanting to go out into crowds like that because I have grandkids, I have kids, and I just want to be there for them.
Overland is actually a trauma therapist, but is also still feeling the effects.
It's like survivor remorse or something, where it's like I feel grateful, but then I feel so overwhelmingly sad because people didn't have to lose their lives.
She wants to remind everyone who is there that it's okay to get help.
Go see somebody. Don't let this eat you up, because it can. It's okay to talk to somebody too, because trauma can do a number of things on you mentally and physically.
Because this day turned into something none of them could have ever expected. And as for Old Settlers Park here, it's open back up. There's no police tape surrounding it. We see people at the park over there actually, and over here we're seeing some of the food trucks still packing up from last night and the weekend, and behind us there were some other vendors that were packing up here from the stage. Live in Round Rock, Malia Masamoto, KV News.
Now, in this alleged incident that took place last Saturday at the Old Settlers Park in Round Rock, Texas, 2 groups of black individuals got into an argument, and as they were getting into this argument, it escalated into a fight, and as it allegedly escalated into a fight, an individual allegedly pulled a gun and began to fire into the crowd. And as they were looking to fire into the crowd at whoever they were having an issue with, they wound up shooting and striking 14 individuals who had nothing to do with the altercation, including children, and also wound up killing 2 mothers who had attended the event. Now, after participating in this shooting and not mass shooting, because a mass shooting is where an individual deliberately goes to a location willfully and intentionally to murder people, and that's why it's not a mass shooting and just a shooting. This individual then fled the scene of this park, and ever since he fled the scene last Saturday, police have been looking for this individual, who is described as being 5 feet 7 inches tall, having short dreadlocks on his head and wearing a white hoodie at the time of the incident. Now, the Round Rock, Texas police see this shooting that took place at this Juneteenth celebration at Old Settlers Park as an isolated incident, but when I take a critical examination of the alleged shooting that took place at Old Settlers Park that led to 14 people, including 2 children and 2 mothers winding up dead, it sadly fits the pattern and profile for beta males that I talk about in my book, The Man Crisis. And it's clear to me that this alleged shooter is one of these children of the corn who basically grew up without any sort of parenting, and as he grew up like a stalk in his family without the structure that a father provides and a mother gives in a 2-parent household, this child basically did not learn anything about basic male life skills such as critical thinking, being able to navigate through your emotions, or the ability to problem solve without escalating an incident into one where you need to brandish a weapon. This male basically showed that he learned nothing as related to family, and as he learned nothing as related to family, he wound up participating in an incident that was just as embarrassing for Juneteenth as Billy Porter kissing the ring of President Joe Biden at a Juneteenth celebration. And what's really sad here with this incident, similar to the one with Billy Porter, is we have a possible black individual embarrassing the race with his behavior as related to a Juneteenth celebration, because Juneteenth is supposed to be a holiday that is supposed to be celebrating the freedom that black people received at the end of the Civil War. And what's really sad about this entire incident is that it took place in Old Settlers Park, a park where black people have been celebrating Juneteenth for almost 100 years. And here we have an individual who shows how little they know about their history, due to the dysfunctional way they were raised by dysfunctional parents. Because if your parents had raised this individual with any sort of understanding of history, they would have behaved a bit more dignified at this event. Because for this Juneteenth celebration to be taking place at Old Settlers Park, a park that was made for black people, and for them to go and pull out a firearm at a celebration of Juneteenth, the day that we're supposed to be celebrating black people's freedom, shows how deeply spellbound this individual was as we're looking to fit into the black boxes that are acceptable to white people, and sadly breathing brand new life into the old stereotype of the black brute on a celebration that's supposed to celebrate the best day for black people in this country. But instead of celebrating black people having their freedom, what this individual wanted to do was take away people's ability to have their freedom and their lives by looking to escalate an incident at this event into a violent shooting, all because this individual did not get the proper male life skills or male survival skills to know how to think critically or know how to problem solve in a situation by basically navigating through their emotions. Because even though you are at an event that is, again, a major celebration, a person has to have discipline and self-control to understand, to respect the event and respect all of the other people who are at that event, to the point where they navigate through their emotions to, yes, you might have a feeling of slight as related to whatever is going on, but you don't act on those feelings. Unfortunately, when you have large groups of beta males, they don't know how to be able to work through their emotions to the point where they say, yes, that I may feel slighted, that I may have bumped into this person, or this person may have said something I don't like, but I'm not going to respond by retaliating. No, what that person does is walk away from whatever is going on, and if they have to, go home if they have to, or go to another part of the park. but they do whatever they can to basically try to not escalate a conflict. But this beta male didn't know how to do this, and as this conflict continued to escalate, what this person did was get so in their feelings that they started to act impulsively, and as they acted impulsively, they pulled out this firearm looking to sate their feelings for a moment to deal with whoever was upsetting them. And as they looked to sate their feelings to deal with whoever was upsetting them, they went out firing shots, and again fired shots impulsively into this crowd, not understanding that when you fire a gun, bullets, they're not, if they don't hit their target, they're going to hit something. And sadly, what happened was the people were getting shot. Innocent children, innocent women, and 2 mothers lost their lives. But this guy, basically, all he was doing was wanting to feel better about dealing with whoever hurt his feelings. And sadly, he didn't think about the consequences of his actions, and that's something that many beta males don't think about as related to their actions. They just go out here shooting in order to be able to make whoever has hurt them pay, not understanding you are going to put people in a situation where they may wind up costing them their lives. And again, just shows how what happens when you have a male who does not think. He goes out and puts other people's lives in jeopardy, and that's exactly what happened here. Now, what's really, again, sad for me is that this was a case of black on possible black crime during a Juneteenth celebration. That's the thing that saddens me the most, that all of these black people were coming to this celebration, and instead of those black people understanding their history and understanding the importance of this celebration, instead, no, what they did was look to continue to participate in the same dysfunctional behavior that white supremacists said that black people participated in, basically tarnishing this holiday and basically traumatizing people for the rest of their lives regarding this holiday. Unfortunately, this is what happens when you have families that do not raise their children to understand how to behave in social situations, and when you have families that don't teach their children how to behave in social situations. They don't know how to conflict resolve. Moreover, they don't know how to understand the importance of showing respect for a holiday like Juneteenth, because what's sad here is instead of celebrating black people's freedom, we show how many black people are still spellbound and still mentally enslaved, because only a person who is a slave would go out on a day of celebration of black people's freedom and participate in an act of terrorism. And I call it an act of terrorism because what this individual wanted to do was go out here and scare everybody by flexing with his gun. And as he looked to go flex with his gun, he wound up showing the entire world that the whole stereotypes about black people not being able to go to have a celebration without there being violence, 1, and 2, went out here and perpetuated the stereotype of the violent black brute who does not think but goes out here and acts impulsively. That's what we saw on display in this great tragedy, a great tragedy that shows even over a century after black people got their freedom, we still have a lot of black folks who have a slave mind to go out here and participate in the violence that white supremacists expect black people to participate in. Because this whole incident again shows us how sad some black people still are. I mean, you're still out here participating in this kind of violence and have no regard for any sort of history. And this is what happens when you have families that don't teach history, because you would think that if you're going to go to a Juneteenth celebration, the first thing you're going to do is respect the holiday, and then after you respect the holiday, you're not going to be bringing weapons to a celebration. I mean, this is the second event where we've had an individual bring guns to a celebration. I remember the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl celebration where we had a group of Pookies and Ray Rays who, just like in this Juneteenth celebration, started to get into it at the event. And as they got into it at the event, a a woman wound up getting killed, and several other children got injured, all because these individuals, all they were doing was feeling and not thinking about anyone around them at that event. No, all they were doing was going out here and looking to sate their feelings like they would at some sort of hood party or ghetto cookout. But the whole thing is that they were at a major event, and as they were at this major event, they wound up putting hundreds of lives in jeopardy and wound up taking as many lives and changing them forever as a mass shooter would at a mass shooting. And that just shows, again, how depraved and indifferent they were to human life, that it was all about whoever they were beefing with. Again, all the same type of dysfunctional frame of thinking that children of the corn have, because they were never taught to respect or regard human life. They were never taught how to respect or regard human life because either mom was too busy working or and dad was not in the home, and because no one was there, again, these kids grew up like stalks, and as they grew up like stalks, they wound up in this sad, tragic case, not only embarrassing their families, but embarrassing the race, because you had black people, again, participating in a shooting on the day that celebrates our freedom, and again, showing how little regard they have for their ancestors to participate in this embarrassing behavior on the day of celebrating Juneteenth, and again, shows how twisted these individuals are, and shows how much further we have to go towards educating the next generation as related to their history. It shows how much more we have to do to celebrate the next generation, because it's clear that we haven't done a good job with this generation for them to think, oh, we're going to fight on a day at a black park on a black Juneteenth celebration. I mean, it shows the failure of the family in this whole incident, in this man crisis that gets progressively worse because we get to hear about almost another one of these incidents every day, or 2 or 3 in a row. And again, all of this is due to the dysfunctional way we raise boys to become men in this country. The way we raise boys to become men in this country is creating a socially engineered hunt crop of 100 to 150 million of these beta males. And these landmines just get progressively worse, because instead of these men understanding on how to deal with conflict or how to deal with problems, they go out and again look to solve problems with their 9mm of courage. And if this guy does get caught, he is going to go from being a free man who was celebrating Juneteenth to winding up in the penitentiary, where he will lose all of his rights and be working like a slave for $1 an hour, and he will be under the jurisdiction of the COs and have to deal with the pecking order of not Pookie and Ray Ray on the streets, but dealing with Bubba, Tiny, Roscoe, Big Dave, Melvin, and Mr. Sprinkles inside of the penitentiary. And as he's in there, he won't have a firearm to protect him, as they trade him for Little Debbie snack cakes, ramen noodles, packets of Crystal Light lemonade, packets of Crystal Light tea, off-brand fruit punch, off-brand orange drink, off-brand lemon lime drink, off-brand grape drink, off-brand apple juice, off-brand fruit punch, off-brand lemon cookies, off-brand Oreo cookies, off-brand duplex cookies, off-brand vanilla wafers, off-brand ginger snaps, off-brand sugar wafers, Hunt snack pack puddings, Hunt's gelatin jellos, Kit Kat candy bars, packets of sriracha sauce, packets of soy sauce, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pies, packets of crispy crackers, all sorts of commissary, such as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pies. And as they trade him for the commissary and spit roast him from the front side and the back side, and Mr. Sprinkles then comes in and sprays him with the special sauce on the front side and the back side, then split his cheeks open, call all the guys from Cell Block T over to split his cheeks open and show his inside of his cheeks looking like the inside of a Louisiana crunch cake. And after he is humiliated ignominiously as related to his backside looking like the inside of a Louisiana crunch cake, dude is going to regret this as he's forced to wash the skid mark out of Mr. Sprinkles' drawers with a toothbrush in the cell that he shares with him. He's going to rue that day because he's going to rue the day that he basically disgraced the holiday of Juneteenth that celebrated black people's freedom, because he won't have his freedom anymore. And he'll rue the day because he basically threw away the most important intangible that black people have in this country, which is their freedom. Threw it all away because he was caught up in his feelings over some minor beef, over some nonsense that took place at a park at a celebration for Juneteenth, and will regret it because he will realize that the value his freedom had, and realize that fighting with whoever over whatever was completely foolish when you consider the value of freedom, one of the things that beta males in this country take for granted, because your life can change just like that when you act impulsively. And when you act impulsively, you can wind up losing your freedom, losing your dreams, all because you wanted to go out here and try to show up, bring a gun to a celebration, trying to flex. Again, this is what beta males do, because what they want to do is call themselves creating covert contracts where they think this is going to give them a big rep, think it's going to go out here and make their name. But the only thing that happens is that when they get arrested and locked up in the penitentiary, the only name that's going to be made in that prison is when Mr. Sprinkles goes out here and tags his name on his backside, and then he's forced to put his hand in the pocket of Mr. Sprinkles. And that's what happens to dudes who go out here trying to be tough and street at celebrations for Juneteenth, showing me how this individual basically took his life for granted in this country, took his freedom for granted, all because he was spellbound and wanted to fit into the black box of a thug. And all because he wanted to fit into the black box of a thug, he is now in a place where white racists want him to be, either on the run, where he will either be killed by the police or he will be locked up for the rest of his life for the murder of those two women as related to second-degree murder. This male who participated in this celebration not only disgraced his family, disgraced his race, and is now possibly on his road to being a disgrace, but it's all because he grew up to be a child of the corn who participated in an event in what I call the season of the simp. And with this season of the simp, you have to keep your head on a swivel, because there are dudes like this everywhere. Dudes like this everywhere who can change your life in an instant, because these men do not know how to function, and because they don't know how to function, you have to be on the lookout for them, because you can easily go from being a person who's living their life into winding up with no life at all, because you're dealing with males and not men, and these males who are not men put the whole nation in crisis with their extremely dangerous and dysfunctional behavior. Now, if you want to learn how to identify the behavior of beta males and how to be able to correct that behavior, or learn how to correct your own behavior if you are in this life cycle, you can pick up my book, The Man Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Man Crisis at other online booksellers like Draft to Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you want to learn more about the spellbound mindset where black people are trying to fit themselves into black boxes that are acceptable to white people and wind up participating in stereotypical and self-destructive behavior, you can pick up my novel Spellbound on Amazon.com along with The Man Crisis, and learn more on how the spellbound mindset messes black people up, and also learn how to break out of the spellbound mindset and be the free black person you are supposed to be. And this was a video requested by one of my viewers, and if you want to request a video, you can send a donation for a minimum of $15 to the Cash App or the PayPal by clicking the links in the description box, and if I know something about that subject, I will make that video for you. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, 1987. Learn lessons about life and teenage love in the 1980s in this coming-of-age John Haynes story. Get your copy of John Haynes 1987 in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited. The Man Crisis. Learn why so many men are struggling to find their way in an increasingly gynocentric world in The Man Crisis. Get your copy of The Man Crisis in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.